Hey beautiful people, welcome back if you're a returning subscriber, but if you're new, hey boo, go ahead and subscribe. I think you'll like it here and I think that we'll vibe. Today we're talking about adolescence and body dysmorphia, which is a topic that I am pretty well versed in. I feel I'm pretty passionate about it, so I'm excited to talk about it. But before we get into the conversation, I just want to offer a trigger warning because we will be talking about some things that are uncomfortable, body dysmorphia. If that triggers any bad feelings for you or anything that you don't want to process right now, go ahead and click off. I won't be mad. But if not, we can keep going forward. And then also another disclaimer is that I am not a doctor. I am talking about my experiences. I've looked up some definitions I'm going to share with you, and I'm just talking based on my experience. So do not hold me to the standard of a doctor. Thank you. Let's go ahead and start out with some definitions. As defined by the World Health Organization, adolescence is a transitional stage of physical and psychological development that generally occurs during the period from puberty to adulthood. Adolescence is usually associated with the teenage years. Do y'all hear my nephew, my dog nephew, walking on the floor? I'm recording a video. Sit down. Anywho, adolescence is usually associated with the teenage years, but its physical, psychological, or cultural expressions may begin earlier and end later. And the age range that they give for adolescence is 10 to 19. Now, let's define body dysmorphia. I got this from Mayo Clinic. They say body dysmorphic disorder is a mental health condition in which you can't stop thinking about one or more perceived defects or flaws in your appearance. A flaw that appears minor or can't be seen by others, but you may feel so embarrassed, ashamed, and anxious that you may avoid social situations. And there's a lot more that you can read. I'll leave both of these links in the description box if you want to look further into it. But what I perceive adolescence is just a time of insecurity due to a lot of different factors. During adolescence, there's definitely a pressure to look a certain way aesthetically, which is more like style wise, but then also physically in terms of body and face. And you know, that's when people really start smelling themselves and they start realizing that essentially looking this way can get me here or make me liked or get me whatever it is, a boyfriend or whatever. But I think the pressure that is really put on adolescents tends to come from four things. And this is just me talking my talk. This is not anything that's researched, but this is what I experienced. Trends have a lot to do with the pressure to look a certain way. Dating desirability, because that's at the height of when you start wanting a boyfriend. You know, people start being couples and you're like, oh, I want somebody to like me, to love me. Yeah. Popularity and likability, because we are in the height of school and you just want to be that girl. I'm so glad that that trend wasn't out when I was in high school. That girl. I like it for adults, but I think that it could be very harmful for children, but that's a entirely different conversation. And then of course, familial pressure. Let's talk about my experience, and we'll start with the dating desirability and just like the popularity and likability aspect of it. So in my adolescence and at the schools that I went to, I was not the preference, and we all know what the preference is. The girls that were very desirable were a couple things. Let me paint you a picture. They were usually lighter complected, shorter. Short girls were in, and that's why I love Meg Thee Stallion. If nothing else, I love how she puts on for tall women.
He fucking with the stallion cause he in the wild women. Put them legs on his head, now he love tall women.
Because being tall was not the thing back then. Everybody wanted them a short girl when I was in school. Back to the picture. Lighter complexion, short, shapely, and I mean shapely just in terms of like butt, boobs, thighs, but only like thicker in that way. And mind you, this was pre-BBL culture. I can't even imagine what school is like now, and I'm so glad that I'm not in school now, hun. But basically the preference was not me. Okay, the preference was not me. And I tended to feel like the Jolly Green Giant. Even though I know that there are girls taller than me, I'm not the tallest, but I'm tall. I'm about like 5'8", 5'9", and I'm bigger too. So it's not like I'm tall and skinny or tall and shapely. Like, you know, I was tall, and even though I was not as big as what I perceived. And that's why we're talking about body dysmorphia today. But I myself felt like a Jolly Green Giant, and for a long time I felt super insecure wearing heels because I'm like, I'm already tall. I was taller than the guys for a long time, and I still am taller than some of the guys sometimes, but I don't care anymore. Go ahead, Lord Farquaad, and I don't care if I'm taller than you. I don't. But yes, feeling like how I felt made me insecure to wear heels, to show my body. And side note, that was actually a reason why I quit ballet when I was younger, is because I didn't feel comfortable wearing the leotards and the little skirts and the things that we had to wear. Like, I just felt so big. And then when it comes to popularity, I did find myself trying to low-key look a certain way just so people would like me more. Thankfully, I was never teased, but nobody had to tease me because honestly, I was so mean to myself. I wouldn't say I teased myself, but any meanness that could have come from kids instead came from me to me. And that sucks, and we should not do that, but I'm just thankful that I didn't get teased, because who knows where I would have been if that was the case. But this is a quick reminder to be kind to yourself. Anywho, before I found my now best friend, I did fall into trying to look a certain way just to be liked or with the girls that were seen as the more popular girls. But once I found my best friend, I honestly didn't care. I stopped caring because I wasn't chasing a look so I could be included, and you know, let's go hang out with Tasha, let's invite Tasha. Like, everybody wants to feel like that at some point in their life. Usually you want to be included and you want to just feel good. But once I got my best friend, I no longer cared about that, because she accepts me, and back then accepted me exactly how I was, and I love her. Okay, that's the longest relationship I've ever had. Back on topic. Next, we'll talk about familial pressure. So in a lot of cultures, I know that they definitely don't hesitate to tell you when you're gaining weight or that you gain weight. And I know that has happened to most of us, and I do think that's harmful because of how it's done usually. That criticism doesn't feel good even if it comes with good intentions, but I also get it on the other side, because you don't want to enable your loved one if they're making bad decisions and harming their health. But also, I think we do need to think about the psychological harm that can come from always saying those comments or critiquing their body. And I think even though this doesn't fall under familial, my experience with the arts also played a role into how I felt about my body and what I'm not going to diagnose myself officially, but I do think it's like body dysmorphic ideals that I have and had, and I'll show you pictures later and we'll get into all of that. In the arts, when I was younger, singing was almost a thing for me. I was almost gonna, like, I don't want to say have a singing career, but whatever. I started getting into that industry, and of course they said, oh, it would be a lot easier to sell you if you lost weight. Cute, real cute. On the singing side, I had pressure to lose weight. And then on the dancing side, in class I didn't feel that comfortable, but then when it came to the recital time, I know you try to shelter kids from certain things, but I still very much caught on that for certain costumes, they had to make sure that there was sizing that fit me, because I wasn't a small or medium like most of the other girls. So, honey, the pressure that I had to look a certain way during those developmental years definitely played a part in my self-esteem, and still does now, but I'm working on reprogramming myself and all of that, retraining my mind, because it really is a mind game. Like, after you've thought a certain way for so long, it doesn't just go away. Even just because you like get cute, some people assume like, oh, she has the greatest self-esteem and she no. I'm gonna look cute so I can be acceptable and look cute, but that doesn't mean that everything is solved, because it takes time to program something. Think about it like a computer. It takes time to program a computer, so it's gonna take time to reprogram it so it can do something different. Of course, social media was nowhere like it is now, but back then, like on Tumblr and just different medias, I do remember it felt like our media about weight loss was more centered around heavy diet culture, and not in a positive way, but then also hating yourself into the body that you want, which I despise that concept. I get it, some people might get so fed up that they're like, I want to do something. But if you think about it, all of the weight loss shows that we saw kind of came from a place of hating your body so much that you now want to do something about it. And my degree is in behavioral science, and we have learned that that is not the way to try to get someone to change their behavior. Pointing out everything that someone is doing wrong, or like, you're gonna get diabetes, you're gonna get heart disease, like telling them all the bad things that are gonna happen will only affect them for a certain amount of time. You will probably get a lot better, results if you were to tell the person, you're gonna feel great when you do this. This is gonna fuel your body so you're not halfway tired during school or during work. Like, pointing out the positives is what people need to do more of, but we'll get to that later. So the media tended to emphasize hating yourself and that you would suddenly love yourself and live this golden life when you got to this certain size. And that's disgusting to me for a couple of reasons. This whole foundation during adolescence led me to have what I now can recognize as kind of body dysmorphia. And like I said, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not gonna diagnose myself, but the signs are there for sure, I'll say that. And it formed unhealthy ideals that I'm still taking the time to unlearn and relearn something better. And these body dysmorphic ideals definitely led to low self-esteem and low self-worth. And I'll share some of those ideals with you that I thought that I'm working on relearning. That I don't deserve love, or I won't be desirable until ... which you can fill in the blank, until I get to this size or until I look like this. The second is that I won't be fully comfortable or confident until ... These ideals have definitely led me to romanticize the past and curse the present. And I mean that in terms of, I'll look back at old pictures and I'm like, wow, I looked amazing there. Like, why did I feel like this? Or why can't I just get back there? Instead of looking at what I have now, because the past has passed. I can only control the present and the future. So instead of romanticizing my past and just cursing the body that I'm in now, you would do a lot better at romanticizing the body that you're in now so you can create change. And then I think overall, all of these thoughts have just made my mind tend to point out the problems or the negatives about myself so easily, instead of vice versa, the positives. I one day was doing a journaling activity, and I think they asked, what are 10 things that you love about yourself? And y'all, I was honestly at a loss for words. Like, I have no clue. But I can tell you what I don't like about myself. That's very harmful. But I think that when so much of your worth for so long in your head has been put on how you look, it is hard to find things that you love about yourself, because it goes just beyond the body and weight. It starts to trickle into every piece of your life, honestly. Career, work, that's the same thing, ignore me. But it trickles into other parts of your life. When I talk about that trickle, I just want to talk about overall confidence. Confidence isn't just what you wear or what you look like, it's a demeanor. And definitely when you don't have that confidence, it could start with your body, but when you don't have that confidence, you don't have it usually in most things. I think it could definitely lead to imposter syndrome. You'll never feel equipped enough or worthy enough to be in certain positions because a lot of your foundational work was put into your body, or that's where you critique yourself the most. And so you tend to have that heavy negative critique about everything in your life. So you never feel like you're supposed to be where you are. Basically, what made me want to create this video was that one day I somehow ended up in my Google Photos, and y'all, the amount of progress pictures that I had in there is crazy. Honestly, if somebody gave me $5 for every progress picture that I've ever taken, I'd probably be a millionaire, at least a thousandaire. But when I looked back at those pictures, it made me so sad for my younger self, because really, I looked great, I looked beautiful. And to think about how much I did not, like, I just hated living in my skin. I remember I used to talk to God and say, God, why did you put me in this body? Why did you give me this? Like, I just really used to ask him, like, why me? Why couldn't you make me normal? Not I'm getting emotional, but yeah, really, I used to say, like, God, why couldn't I just be normal? Why couldn't you give me a normal, good metabolism? Like, why did I have to be the one to have to go through this? Because no. 1 second, we'll be back. Alrighty, I am okay now. But looking back at those pictures, and I'll be popping them on the screen so you all can see. Let me scoot over. I'll pop them over here so you all can see. But I was just looking back through all of these pictures where I felt so big, y'all. And looking at them now, I just have such a different lens, of course, because I'm bigger now than I was in these pictures. And I just think about how back then I felt so unpretty, unworthy. And even though people be like, oh, you're such a pretty girl, it always felt like, you're such a pretty girl, but ... That's just how it read across in my mind. And we all, well, I won't say we all know, but a lot of us might know that people can give you compliments all day, but if you don't feel like that internally, they just really like float right over your head, and it's like you say thank you as a formality and keep moving with your day. Have I talked about the low confidence and self-worth trickling into other areas? For me, myself, I've noticed that it has trickled into, as odd as it might sound, well, it doesn't sound that odd. It's really trickled into dating and marriage for me. Sometimes I feel like I will never be anyone's preference or choice. So sometimes I do doubt, like, is somebody gonna love me enough or like me enough or find me attractive enough to date me, marry me, like that whole situation. But we're not gonna get too deep into that. Let's turn this video around and get into some things to remember that are positive that will help you out, because I know for a lot of us, adolescence has done a number on us, because I know we all tend to look back at pictures like, why did I feel like I look bad? I don't look bad, but you get such a warped view of what you look like, and then if your identity is wrapped up into how you look, it really does shape your entire foundation. I can't think of a time in my life where I wasn't thinking about how my body looked in terms of trying to lose weight or being on some diet plan or in the gym. And you know, I've never had a period in my life like that, really. Maybe when I was like a baby, but anything above 8 or 9, nope. It was, I'm eating like this, or I'm trying to work out, or I'm trying the Atkins diet, the military diet. Weight Watchers, y'all. I was on Weight Watchers when I was like 9 or 10. I don't even know how old I was, but I was young. I was the youngest person in there with grown women that were in their 30s and 40s. So I've never had that just moment where you're living life and not thinking about what you look like. But I'm working on reprogramming myself to, if anything, love myself into better health. Not love myself into a different body, because we get so wrapped up on the aesthetics and I need to look like this by this. I've come to the realization that as it pertains to aesthetics, I have a very unique aesthetic, I feel like. A lot of things, even if I did have that body, I don't think that I would move how other girls move. And that's not to say that in a weird or rude way. We know the IG baddie aesthetic is very popular. But even if I had that body, I'm just not comfortable in that. So I have realized that I have to be okay with not being everybody's preference, because nobody is going to be everybody's preference. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't think you're cute, who doesn't like your body, who doesn't like how you carry yourself, and whatever the case. But like I said, positive notes. I have 5 things to remember that might help you program in case you're a parent or an auntie and you want to pour into the youth, but also reprogram in case you need to change your mindset about your body. 1 is appreciate your body for all that it does for you, not just how it looks. We are so quick to get wrapped up in, I don't have a flat stomach, or And oh, this is great, but can we not give your body gratitude for keeping you alive? Do you know how many things have to happen perfectly and just right in your body for you to live day to day in a normal way? And I use normal because really, what is normal? But there are so many people that are living with different illnesses that affect their quality of living. If nothing else, your body is doing what needs to be done for you to stay alive and live a great quality of life. That deserves applause, and that deserves some gratitude, not just how it looks. Who cares if you have rolls? And I don't say that in a way where I feel like you shouldn't do anything to change that. If you want to change that, love that for you, sis. Let's get in the gym, let's clean up the diet. But give yourself gratitude and give your body gratitude right now for what it's doing and for what it looks like right now, because no matter how much we want to fight it, we are all somebody's body goals. And that's facts. Number 2 is focus on habit goals that make you feel your best, not weight loss goals by a certain date. That's another thing that people tend to fall victim to. Like, oh, I'm trying to drop 15 pounds by December for when I go to Cancun, or this much weight by my birthday. That's a very general goal. You know how many different ways you can approach that? Like, oh, I want to lose this amount of weight. Versus if you tell yourself, I want to drink a gallon of water a day. I want to make sure I'm eating vegetable in every meal. Like, habit goals are little things that you can check off every day, and those add up to whatever progress you want to see. So I think that those are a lot more tangible in day-to-day goals. We can set a weight loss goal and completely forget about it. But if you set daily habit goals that you're like, I need to do these every day and check this off my to-do list for the day, I think that will get you a lot further than setting these broad weight loss goals, because a lot of times you tend to get lost in it if you don't have a daily routine. The third is lead by example and create the culture that you want. This is mainly, I guess, from my people that are trying to influence someone younger than you. Create the culture that you want. So if you don't want the person around you to, let's say it is gain any more weight, or you want them to be a healthier version of themselves, then honey, you need to be cooking the good foods, eating the good foods, and just making it an environment that's about nutrition, or not even about nutrition, but making an environment where you have nutritious foods for your meals and where you get more active. Instead of telling someone to do these things or that they need to blah, 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 but there's still Cheetos in the house and you're still snacking and munching, let's create a healthy environment and let's all live in this healthy environment, because it can't hurt. But that's a lot easier to not feel singled out, like you need to be doing this, if that's just how the household is. That's just what I am, and that's just what I do. I'm eating me a grape. Number 4 is affirm that you are beautiful and worthy with no strings attached. I don't want you to feel like I will be beautiful and worthy when I can do this, when I look like this, because that's just not the case. You need to feel like you're worthy and beautiful at every phase, even if you're not where you want to be aesthetically or health-wise. If you don't believe it now, you're not just going to suddenly believe it when you get there. Because we've heard so many cases where people lose large amounts of weight, but of course the body dysmorphia, they still see the person that they were before because the work wasn't being done mentally along the journey. They just thought they would get to this place and feel completely comfortable in who they are, but it's not gonna happen. You need to do the work now, do it tomorrow, and do it whenever you get to where you want to be. So sis, bro, because I don't know, there might be some men watching, you are beautiful and worthy with absolutely no strings attached. It's not, I will be there when I get, nope, right now, at this very moment. You're worthy and beautiful. Number 5 is to live fully today. Emphasis on today. Don't fantasize about the life that you'll live when you get to a certain place or when you look like this, simply because tomorrow is not promised. Lord forbid you spend your entire life hating how you look and thinking that you're gonna live this better life when you get to a certain size, and like I said, Lord forbid you pass away tomorrow. And think about it, you've reserved all of your happiness for a place that might not even exist. today, fully. Anything that you're like, oh, I would love to wear that one day. I hate the word one day. These words feel like it'll never come. One day, someday. I just don't like them. So anything that you wanted to do that you said one day or someday, that's attached to the way you look, do it today. That's everything that I have for you all, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I was very candid and honest about my experiences, so of course if you want to chat with me below and share some of your experiences, I always talk back. And if you're shy but you still want to say something, y'all, you can always DM me on Instagram. I do respond. But I really do thank you for watching this. This is something that has been on my heart for a long time, because I'm just realizing how my mindset was not, and sometimes still is not, healthy for what it should be. But we're working on it, and we're reprogramming, relearning, and becoming that girl. If there's something else that you want me to talk about, you can also leave that below, and I'll definitely add it to my roster. Stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next. Honey, I need me a grape. Put that in there. All right.
It's time to post up. Fix your credit, girl, get at it, get your bag up. Get that jam and get back time. Go get that degree.